So we're gonna discuss and decide a competition today and just start running it. I was looking at the Facebook recruiting 3 keyword extraction. That seems to be interesting. The one that you sent out, Darren.
Yeah, it's old, but that sort of subject area has gotten even more interesting with, there's something called extreme classification, and there's also zero-shot learning. I guess zero-shot learning is maybe one of the extreme classification methods, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I guess we could talk a little more on that, but the other one is tweet sentiment extraction, which is extracting support phrases for sentiment labels, which I thought is pretty cool as well. And this was only 3 months ago. So I thought this can be, somewhat interesting. This has practical use case. It's pretty practical as well. You can totally use that in your work if you're in marketing, something like that. Marketing data science.
Which one was it?
Tweet sentiment extraction. Basically extracting like words that are related to the positive emotion or negative emotion. So I believe, like, for example, it says right here, let me just share my screen. This is the competition. Like, my ridiculous dog is amazing. And if I'm not wrong, like, it's the ridiculous dog or dog itself is the phrase that we're trying to extract. As you can read it here, capturing sentiment in language is important in these times where decisions and reactions are created and updated in seconds. But in which
would be
words?
Amazing, right? In this case, amazing is the positive word.
Oh, lead to yes. Yes, you're right. Amazing. But which words actually lead to the sentiment description? So, how do they express that positive emotion? And I guess I was just trying to say, like, this is also important. What did they express emotion towards? So these things are actually, I came from a marketing data science background. These things are actually more important than, just knowing this positive or negative. Is I need to know which lexicon, which words my audience or the brand's audience is using to describe their feeling, so that perhaps I can use, something exactly the same in my ads, in my branding, messaging to reflect that emotion. So that is a very practical use case. And yes, Gotham, you were right. Yes, we're trying to extract amazing. So, but which words actually lead to the sentiment description? In this competition, we need to pick out the part of the tweet, word or phrase that reflects the sentiment. So in this case, it would be amazing. So, but that's the thing, right? Because when we craft messaging, when marketing, when brands craft messaging, there are literally a bunch of words that are similar to amazing that people can use. And why do we need to pick amazing, right? And it's because you got to speak your audience language. And what is your audience language? And it's amazing. So that's that. So we got a couple ones to pick from. one of them, I guess this one, it was recommended by Darren, and we can look at that. And there are a couple other ones, and these 5 ones were from Kaggle's main group, main Kaggle group. So Srinivas had like 5 of them on his spreadsheet for NLP tasks. And so this one is related to emotion analytics or sentiment analysis. This one is more towards like toxic, I guess, multilingual toxic classification. So multilingual and classification, right? So not just classification, but multilingual. And these 2 are QA, Q&A labeling, improving automated understanding of complex question-answer content. And this one is TensorFlow 2.0 QA, identify the answers to real user questions about Wikipedia page content. And this is gender pronoun resolution, pair pronouns to their correct entities. So basically, you know, you're pairing Lucy or the person's name with the person's pronouns. And obviously that, you know, raising awareness of pronouns is definitely on the agenda of many big tech companies. And the price, you know, is $25,000. And this one's $50,000, 25, 50, 15,000. And the other thing is, I think someone mentioned, Darren, you mentioned nowadays Kaggle competitions have to, if you're participating in a live one, you have to submit some sort of additional requirements. Is that right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, no, I don't really know. I think Yuri was talking about that. I think Gotham might know more about the platform. I know almost nothing about Kaggle. My understanding, though, is that normally you do a non-running competition, because when the competition is actually live and running and not over with, you can't share. So that's my rough understanding. Maybe someone else knows better than me, for sure.
Yes, please.
So if you're looking at, actually, I'm looking at Srinivas's Excel, and there's a column called submission tested. That's very important, because what you kind of want to do, you want to be able to submit, continue submitting, and continue scoring, right? Because you want to build your solution and like see it's improving. So they haven't done that, but usually what they do in the beginning of the competition, they kind of think like they find what they want to do, and then they check that you can actually work with it. The other consideration, big consideration, is size, because like, you know, some of them are huge, so you cannot like, so you may want to like submit through Kaggle, but maybe develop on Collab, but then you don't want data to be too big, so or be in the form where you cannot store it on Google Drive.
Right.
You can see one of them, TensorFlow 2.0, is 16 gigabytes, which is not terrible, but
yeah, absolutely.
biggest.
We should look at that.
Are there any live NLP competitions now?
Let's take a look
We
at
can
it.
check, but the problem with live is that then we cannot collaborate, or we have to be a team.
Yeah, I also created a GitHub for ourselves. So hold on. No, Kaggle. So we can upload our notebooks to this this one. This is, I just made it public, and I'll post that link in the channel. And we can literally just submit that. But of course, you know, let's make it, obvious who's who, and, and perhaps I'll create a folder and send a link, and be like, this folder is this competition, and everyone can submit, commit, basically, XYZ and your name, and that will be your notebook. And so whenever we poll, we can see everyone's notebook. It's just easier. Is everyone up for that?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that they made it that way. What's the rationale behind, not being able to collaborate within the live competition, Yuri?
Oh no, so you can collaborate within the team. But then the team size is limited.
Yeah, it's maximum of 5.
By different competitions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there's a way around it that a lot of I think a lot of people who learn data science in Russia kind of pick this route. They basically do public discussions, like similar to what we're doing, and then post everything.
Uh-huh.
So they're saying that's because they're opening it up. But
Uh-huh.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's nobody ever tested it whether it's the right thing to do or not.
And you have to share like how you actually derived your results, or you coded. Is that what it is?
No, it's just like they don't want they want people they don't want the advantage of like different teams sharing results outside of the main competition, because it's not fair for everybody else.
Got it. Understood. Okay, so it looks like this is a live competition, and this is NLP, obviously, multilingual text, contradictory, my dear Watson, detecting contradiction and entailment in multilingual text using TPUs. And I bet this is probably, the data is actually not that big.
This is a learning competition. It's not your usual competition. So I don't think they would mind having people sharing stuff. It's a getting started competition.
Oh, getting started. Okay, yeah. Now I saw it. Great, thank you. Okay, so how do I see if they're not? Okay, I mean, I guess, oh, it's knowledge. Got it. Okay, prizes. It does have prizes. I don't know why. But I guess these ones are the biggest ones. Nation completed. Okay, so it doesn't seem like there are actually, there's a bunch of like computer vision tasks. There's literally bird.
Okay. So is there any way that we can filter only the NLP competitions?
That's a good question. Does anyone know about categories?
I tried searching on NLP, but that wasn't very useful.
Yeah, no, it wasn't very useful. I searched that as well. It was just a bunch of.
And then you have to click on competitions, not data sets. Yeah. And untick the data sets.
Relevancy.
Yeah, the reason why I brought these 5 up is, the other group might just pick one of them, one of the 5s competitions, and I was thinking, perhaps we can collaborate, share notebooks, and there might be some synergy over that.
Just type in NLP. That gives better results.
Okay.
Yep.
Sort by dates. in class. Those are in class competitions.
What the meaning of in class?
It's like a college and inside a college or university, something like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's not. It's probably not open to everyone.
I think the interface does need some work, right? It's not that.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not user friendly for one to easily.
Yeah, so is many. So are many Google applications. Google Cloud Engine is one of them. It's not very user friendly. So this is one of them we saw, right? Featured. Yeah, a lot of them are interesting class. Anyway, I think we should just pick one of the 5, and let's see what the data size is, or one of the 6 actually. Darren brought this up, so we should take a look at it. So let's take a look at data size. 3 gigabytes looks like.
What about the sentiment one?
That's not too big at all. 4 megabytes.
Yeah.
And but this one, again, it's relatively practical, because you can literally you don't have to use it on tweets, right? You can use this model. Once you build it, you can probably train it on something else. Yeah, it doesn't have to be tweets. The other ones are, this one, you're just not gonna use it in work, but it's cool to do it. So let's look at the data. 4.7 gigabytes. Okay.
Check. And also, it is good. Maybe we start from those with not the huge amount of data, so we can.
Yeah, absolutely. This 14 megabytes. Yeah, most of them are okay. 16 gigabytes. That's a little big.
So I can see we have like 2 is less than 5 MB. The sentiment and jigsaw.
Yeah, and this one is 2 point. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we didn't go through like what this actually does. Looking for a data science position in Facebook. After being successful prior Facebook continues the permission. Competition test or skill sets on a large data set. The data set contains content from disparate stack exchange sites. Contains a mix of both technical and non-technical questions. You must compete. Interesting. So at that time, 7 years ago, when you do these competitions, you literally probably get a chance to interview with Facebook to get into their data scientist position. But what is this? I mean, what are we doing here?
They're predicting tags.
Predicting tags. Yeah.
I'm concerned. I just threw it out there, but I'm concerned that it's old. To me, I don't know Kaggle well enough, but I want to make sure whatever we do, it's got a nice learning environment. You know what I mean? There's just like lots we can learn. So if it's kind of old and stale, I don't know though.
Okay.
I mean, I'd rather have a rich learning environment than apply novel techniques to.
This one is 3 months.
I can test it right now. Basically, what you can do is take one of notebooks, copy it, and try to submit it and see if it works. I can try doing it.
Okay, please.
Maybe.
Sounds good. So the other thing I tend to look at is, other people's submissions already, and and that's a way to learn, right? Like, because if they got upvotes, right, and people already have something here, and that's a good way for us to learn from other people. of course we want to do it ourselves, but like, hey, it's good to look at what other people did. So yeah, so it looks like this one got great notebooks. This one, okay, so it doesn't have too many upvotes on some of the notebooks. Let's see. Okay, this one is great. 400, 334. Great. So if someone used BERT here, do that. And of course, BERT is great for QA, and it makes sense to use BERT. Yes, people use BERT. Taming the BERT, a baseline, resolution. Cool. Seems like these four all have great votes on the notebooks. This one has less. And so perhaps these four, we'll pick one of these four. And this one, we can pick just one of these two because they're all QA. So it's literally picking one of these three. QA, multilingual classification, tweet sentiment extraction. Let's take a vote.
You guys any preference like you want to use TensorFlow or PyTorch?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You guys have any preference like you want to use TensorFlow or PyTorch?
I'm okay with both because it seems like TensorFlow 2 is somewhat better.
Yeah.
And
Because
yeah,
the
go ahead.
competition which is TensorFlow 2.0, I think we can only do it in TensorFlow 2.0.
Yeah, of course. And PyTorch, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but PyTorch serving is still not as good as TensorFlow model serving. But does anyone have any different thoughts? Is that still the case? Because or PyTorch is getting better on serving, model serving, enterprise level. Okay, so I don't have a pick on PyTorch versus TensorFlow, and since we're not actually submitting competitions, I mean, I guess you can still submit it if you want. But I don't know if they actually prohibit you from using like PyTorch. Is that what it is?
If you are competing in the live, then it would have mattered. But
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Of course.
Can you still submit and get scores, right? Or no?
Yeah. We just need to submit the CSV pattern. So
Yeah,
Right.
then
Right.
it's fine, right?
then it's fine.
Yeah. What does late submission mean?
Because the competition.
I think you can just submit and still get the scores. That's
You
what
don't get a prize. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So TensorFlow 2.0 QA or Google Quest QA, Jigsaw. We can do these. It's just let's pick the first one. So it's not like we're not gonna do these. So I mean, I'm gonna vote for this because I'm just super into like sentiment analysis and emotion analytics. That's like, and it's super practical as well.
Me too.
Yeah, for me, I go for sentiment extraction as well.
Cool. Anyone else?
Yeah, sound good to me as well.
Okay. All right.
It is also small enough. That's like a big consideration. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, and there's plenty of stuff that we can play around with, and it got great notebooks. Some good discussion as well. A bunch of teams. It has the most teams as well. So it seems like a lot of people are in the leaderboards. 73%. Hey, you know, that's not too bad. It's not bad. Yeah. So let's do that. And it's 11:30. Why don't we get started? Because I'm all about like execution and action. Coming from a practical background, you know, I don't have 2 weeks to decide on on just a competition. So why don't we start it right away? And because literally, you know, I structured this to be like 45-minute discussion and 45-minute just coding session. And obviously, if you need to leave, you know, like if you got something to do, like at 1 hour mark, you know, go ahead. But like, let's code, and if we have any questions, we can just discuss on the call and fire it away, you know. Yeah, and so the next time, you know, by setting a period of time to do the competition and coding, you know, on the session, you need less discipline and mental power to actually do it off the call, because everyone's busy, and that's why I try to set it up this way. And so the next call, we will basically jump on the call and just discuss what everyone did, and like what you discovered, and probably, you know, whoever wants to share notebooks, and you can just share your screen, or, you know, but meanwhile, we have a GitHub, and you can literally just commit to that GitHub, and we can already see what everyone is doing. And, you know, then next, well, we can talk, you know, during the first 45-minute or 30-minute, then code again. So it'll be structured this way. But I'm of course open for discussion, but does that sound good? Or, you know, you have different opinions, you want to do it differently? Let's just discuss a little bit here before we start.
How about a small discussion period after the coding thing? Because like, if you're just leaving after this coding thing, then we might not remain committed, right? I mean, people would just leave.
Okay.
Whereas
So
if we are discussing after the coding session, then we might actually sit and do something.
okay, so maybe leave like 15-minute discussion.
Yeah, that would do. Yeah.
At the end, and
Yep.
let's code for like 45 minutes, and let's talk around 12:15.
Yep.
PM and EST, and we can talk for like 15 minutes. So how about that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. And again, this is structured to be like 1.5 hours every time. So just, you have, you know, keep that in mind. And that's typically how, you know, how long every study group is within TWIML. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing, and we decided this, and I'm going to send that on Slack. And so, okay, so we will.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think I know it'd be useful to me, maybe not for everyone, but I have no idea how to get started. Can someone give us a 10-minute crash course on like the how to use the platform? If it's.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've only done like 1 or 2 before, and I haven't done it for a while. Does Yuri, you want to perhaps chip in a little bit?
Yeah, I'll look at the competition. I don't know how much I can do today, but
I think he's not talking about the competition, but how the platform works, the submission, and stuff like that. The pipeline of
Oh,
working
okay.
with Kaggle.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah, I mean,
I got distracted by something else.
how to get started right now with the platform. I remember looking at it before, and you could like clone a repository. I don't know if that's necessary. I'm not sure if there's different ways to use the platform.
What I started doing is that I found one. There are a lot of notebooks. I found one that sort of had like a okay score, but a lot of upvotes. So so it's basically it wasn't used. I want to find one that basically doesn't take too long to run and like is easy. It doesn't necessarily have a top score, and then you can clone it and submit it, just so you know that you can actually submit results. But then after that, that's just to check that we can actually submit, or you can actually like start from scratch and submit sort of like the kind of default, like a bad like random submission. But then just to check that the website is working, and then after that, what I would do is I would start from scratch and just instead of cloning notebooks, I would build my own.
So
maybe today we can just spend just downloading the data and just looking at it, looking at the columns and some kind of exploratory stuff.
So
That
I
would make more
think,
sense, right?
yeah.
That's the thing.
So
You don't even need to download the data. You can actually like do it right in Kaggle.
Yeah,
also.
of course, yeah.
so I share some links. I think each explains how to get started with Kaggle. Yeah.
Yeah, and from what I've done in the past, yes, like nowadays Kaggle has their own notebooks, Kaggle notebooks. But yeah, obviously you can do it on your own Jupyter notebook. What the way how it works is it has a training data set and it has a test data set, but on the back end, Kaggle would have its own test data set. It's called a hidden test data set. And it also has a, let me just share screen. I think it's just easier. So look at this, right? So we got a sample submission. So basically, it will give you a sample on how, like what kind of data you need to submit. It's a format, right? I did one with housing, and it's basically just bunch of real estate prices, and you need to like take out certain labels if that's the requirements, and you just literally putting a bunch of prices, and that's how Kaggle evaluates your score. And this is your test set, but it has a hidden test set that you wouldn't be able to see, and that's how you eventually get evaluated on the leaderboard. So even though we're not computing live, but you will still be ranked with your score, and you will see that here, like your score. And going back to that, and that's typically how you do it. So, and of course you can take a look at other people's notebooks and things like that. And there's a bunch of rules, like a team limits 5, submission limits, because a lot of time people might want to game the submissions by doing like just spamming the submissions by, because they want to have a higher score. And so it's almost like you're trying to test the hidden test set, right? Like you're trying to game the hidden test set by spamming the submissions, like because you might get a test score of certain percentage, but you might get a lower test score with the hidden test sets. That could happen. And some people are just like, oh, I didn't expect my score to be so low, so let's spam that. And so this is trying to stop that from happening. Just maximum 5 entries per day. and select up to like 2 final submissions for judging. This is a timeline which is not applicable to us, and there's some specific terms, and also, you know, the price. So that's that. And yeah, did someone want to say something?
So for today, what do you we should go and start working on the data, or what do we? Okay.
Let's do it because let's get started. And so that even if you don't do anything after the call, you can still have something to talk by the end of the call, and, you know, at the beginning of next call, right? So so that's how I said it. So let's start it, and you can just, if you want to do it in Kaggle's notebook, that's great. If you want to download data, just hit that button, period. So all right,
cool. So yeah, let me get started and get myself acquainted with the Kaggle.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's regroup at 12:15. So that will be around 35 minutes from now.
Okay, 35 minutes from now, right?
35, yeah, 35.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right, cheers.
Yep. Okay, time is up. Hope you guys are able to at least set up the data, take a look at it quickly, and again, you know, obviously you're not going to be able to do everything within 45 minutes, in this case 35 minutes. So this is just to get the snowball rolling. Of course, we intend to make the competition, make each competition like 1 to 2 months, depending on how things go. So let's discuss. Does anyone have any comments, any thoughts? Yeah.
So mine is just too simple. I'm just wondering, like, so when we have the head of the trained data, we have text ID, text, and selected text. So I'm wondering how this selected text was extracted from the main text of the tweet, because that is what shows the sentiment. So given tweets, so do they manually selected this text as a selected text or what? That's what I'm thinking of.
Anyone has any thoughts?
I mean, that is the task here, isn't it? So the initial creation of the data was done manually, yes. They had some team go through all the tweets and write the text themselves. I mean, if they knew to do it themselves, they wouldn't set up a competition, right?
You mean this text?
It was done manually, yeah.
All right.
Selected text was done manually, yeah.
Okay. So please, can you tell me, so what will be the prediction?
So the task is to extract the span from the text which explains that sentiment.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess one of the questions I had is, how do they actually even get scores in terms of accuracy? Does anyone know?
If you look at the sample submission, you need to predict whether the sentiment is neutral, sentiment, negative or positive.
That's not the task. The task is to predict the text span which explains that sentiment, right?
So it's the text span. Okay.
Yeah, because even the test data has the sentiment labels, neutral, positive, negative, all of that stuff. What it does not have is the text. That's what you have to predict.
When you say text span, what do you mean specifically?
So it's just a section, a continuous section of the original text. Like word 3 to word 6 explains that this text is positive. Word 4 to word 7 explains that this text is negative or neutral.
Yeah. So if I get you right, so from the table we have selected text. So that selected text is the span that shows the sentiment?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So
you're not. I mean, the task is not to predict sentiment. You could do that, but that's not the task here.
Right. And so like, when you have a span of text, how do you measure that against, you know, the label?
There are many ways to do that, but I think they would just, I'm not sure of the exact metric they use. So it would be just how many words you have common or something like that. Checkard similarity, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, in this competition, the evaluation metric is Checkard.
Checkard, yeah. So Checkard is when you have two sets, it's the intersection by union. So if I have a set of 5 words, and if I have another set of 5 words, but only 4 of them are common, so yeah, your score would be according to that. It would be 4 by then the union of the two sets in that way.
Okay.
The more words you get common, the higher your score would be.
I don't understand. Good, Tom. Could you explain again?
So you have to predict the span, right?
Yep.
Simply put, the more of the span, the more of the span matches with the actual prediction that they made, the higher would be your score.
Ah.
So if you miss, like if there are 4 words and you got 3 of them right, you would still get a fairly good score.
Ah.
Do not be 0 all the way.
So
you would
here,
still get a good score.
the selected text is the ground truth, right?
Yes.
Okay. So whatsoever you predicted the span would be compared with the selected text at the ground truth.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah, I get you. Thank you. Yeah. Don't mind me.
And one interesting thing, so I was following one particular guy's notebook, which was a top rated. Since I did not want to, I'll just Tanul Singh. It's by Tanul Singh.
Yeah.
Which one?
I have just pasted it in the chat.
Okay.
So
Yeah, do you want to share screen?
Sure. Yeah, I don't have much to show you, but sure.
No, I mean just the notebook. Someone else's notebook on this Jacquard score. I have it on my screen, but do you want to just share and walk through what this metric is?
Okay, sure. You can see my screen?
Yeah.
Hey, before you get started, question, do you have any idea why they didn't use blue? Because, you know, like for generative models.
This is not generative. You are just extracting a span, which is actually part of the original tweet. So
Right. No, I completely understand that. It just seems like blue might work better than Jacquard, or am I missing something?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Or if someone could tell me why blue wouldn't work, that would be interesting.
Yeah, that's a good question. Blue. So blue is just number of n-gram matches, if I'm right, something like that.
For tests,
So
translation.
blue score is
The thing with blue is going to screw up your order of words, really, and you don't need to worry about rearranged order of your words in this case. So you don't need blue.
I didn't get that.
Okay.
So blue doesn't care about the order of the words?
Yeah, I think that's right. Okay. Anyway, it's marginal to what we're doing. I'm just trying to connect the dots between these types of metrics.
Yeah, even so where is the metric for this one written? Does anyone know?
Evaluation.
Okay. So even Jacquard, okay, they have the code here. I did not see that. So even the Jacquard one does not consider order. So it's just suppose you have yeah, it's just it's basically used in sets, in set theory. Like you have two sets. So it's basically A intersection B by A union B. So the more you get common between the two sets, the higher your score would be. So the order does not matter really, I think. But
the way I've seen Jacquard used before is at the character level for similarity between words when you're trying to match words to each other. So it's kind of, I mean, this is very intuitive. It's obvious you can use it at the word level. That's interesting to see.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think to do Jacquard, they would have to tokenize the words, right? So I'm not sure how do they do it in their. I mean, they would have to also tokenize the CSV that we pass in, right?
Yeah, the first no, okay.
All words are separated by spaces, so it's a very clean set to tokenize. I think that's all you have to do. So they would maybe I don't know if you have to case it or not. Lowercase.
Yeah, I guess because this kind of they use NLTK and NLTK assume that.
I do think you could literally do it just by splitting on spaces. In the instructions, they said that words are separated by spaces, but I'm not sure.
I mean, it's the, I mean, the text is anyway from the same source, right? So yeah, they could just tokenize by space and do it. Yeah. I mean, I was just following through this guy's. He seems to have a really good notebook, and the only interesting thing that, I mean, these are the usual exploratory stuff. Neutral is most, and negative and positives are almost equal.
But
the only interesting thing.
We don't have to worry about imbalanced classes in this case, right?
Yeah. But one interesting thing, Gotham, can you go up?
Sure.
That's Gotham, not me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. But one interesting thing, I think, like in sentiment classification, sometimes you see like given document or reviews, negatives tends to have a higher percentage than positive. But in this case, like, anyway, it depends on the reviews. If it is something,
I mean, these
I
are
guess.
tweets, right? These are not reviews.
Yeah. Okay.
When
Yeah.
tweets, yeah.
Yeah. This
Maybe
is,
it's
but
the
yeah.
other way around for tweets.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. In review, basically, because I was basically previously on one tweet. I mean, reviews. So negative, we have more negative than positive in such scenarios. Yeah, because they have the idea that negative things travel fast than the positive. So if something is negative, more people will talk about more, right? But if it is positive, less people. So there's kind of such kind of imbalances in that way.
Especially on tweets. I mean, tweets are usually pretty polarized.
Yeah, yeah. Especially the replies to tweets would be a lot of negative stuff. Yeah,
right.
Sure. Yeah, as I was saying, the interesting thing that I saw here is, okay, my computer is kind of slow right now. Just give me a sec. Yeah, so yeah, this was the one. Neutral tweets have a Jacquard similarity of 97% between the text and the selected text. So what this means is, for neutral tweets, the selected text is basically the same as the text itself. So for neutral tweets, you don't have a defining word that causes the tweet to be neutral, right? It's basically the whole tweet that that would signify that this tweet is neutral. Whereas for positive tweets, you would have a couple of words that that say that this tweet is positive. Same is the case for negative. But for neutral, it's basically the whole tweet that would be, I mean.
So yeah. when you are classifying the neutrals, you should classify the whole text in this context, right?
No, you're not classifying, right? You are extracting spans. So
yeah, span the whole.
What this sentence is saying is, for the neutral tweets, the selected text and the actual tweet is basically the same.
Yeah, I get you.
It's the whole thing. So one guy was saying, I mean, this came from this discussion. So for neutral tweets, you can just paste the text as is while you're submitting. You would still get a good score. So we can use the neutral text as it is for selected text. You don't have to struggle and do the span selection, because it's basically the same, since you get 97%. Yeah, that was the interesting thing that I saw.
So did they actually calculate that? Like,
yep, this guy calculated it. So he did it on the train test, on the train data. He calculated the Jacquard. So for positive, it's 31. So only 31% of the words in the original tweet ended up in the selected text. And for negative is 33, only 1/3 of the words. So basically 1/3 of the sentence came in the selected text. For neutral, it's 97.
I mean, I guess you're literally just taking your labeled selected text and divided by all the text in each row, right? Pretty much.
Yeah. You would take the selected text and see the number of common words with the text, and then divided by the total unique words. Total words.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, what you said is the same thing. Yeah.
That's interesting insight.
Yep.
Cool. All right, it's 12:30, and great stuff, absolutely. And I'm glad that we were able to kick off the first meeting, select the competition, and then actually get started setting up your data set and things like that. So let's talk more at the beginning of the next session on what we've done. I'm going to post a link to in terms of the GitHub, and feel free to just commit to that GitHub. It will be public. Now, of course, name your notebook, please, and it will be under. I'm gonna probably just do it one competition per GitHub. That probably makes more sense instead of doing it all within one GitHub. But make sure you name your notebook when you commit. But it's, of course, it's optional. If you want to, then do it. So Yuri said, did you guys have any issues submitting? I have not tried that.
So what I did is I actually copied text into selected text. Actually, I didn't see that comment, but I figured for some of them, at least it will match. And I ran that. But apparently, so I just created submissions file, but apparently that's not enough. Because it also supposed to run on the hidden set.
Right.
So I don't know. I haven't looked at it for a long time. But that was I
So
thought
you
that
have to submit the code or something. How would it run on the hidden set?
Oh yeah. So they will rerun it.
So you have to submit the code. Is that?
I don't think you have to. You just need to submit that sample submission file they're giving, right? So
yeah, it should be just the CSV.
Yeah, just that CSV file.
And their backend will process that.
So once you have a notebook, there is a submit to competition option, but that didn't work for me because it says there is no output file. Although like I created, so I don't know. There's like a step I'm missing that I don't know if that how to put this notebook into the state where it can be submitted.
Yeah.
So how do they usually evaluate for the hidden sets? Do they ask for code and run it themselves, or?
Well, for
I think you can just change the test set, right?
And
what stops the people from changing their code again? They can just change that and.
Oh, because when competition is live, well, first of all, you cannot like submit too many times, but also some data is not used till the end of the competition also.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've understood, you don't need to submit your own code unless like.
Yeah, I was talking about the when you have the actual live competition. So in that case, they would run it on their hidden set, right? Hidden data set.
Yeah.
That. So the sample file you're submitting, right? So they basically take like 40% to calculate the public leaderboard and like 60% to calculate the private.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah.
That's what they.
Okay, cool. All right, that concludes the first session. Anyone has any other thoughts or comments before we let everyone go? Okay, good. So we'll talk to each other next week. It seems like this is a very interesting competition and data set to go through. It's not as traditional as we usually deal with. So that's cool, and it's relatively practical as well. And cool. So hopefully we'll get something done before the next session, and compare notes and notebooks and things like that. Okay, on that note, I'll see you guys